Ave Maria, everyone. Welcome back to the Roman Martyrology. This is July 20th. Saint Apollinaris, bishop, who, making the unfathomable riches of Christ known among the people, proceeded his flock like a good shepherd, honoring the church of Classe near Ravenna in Romagna with his glorious martyrdom. On July 23rd, he migrated to the eternal banquet. Commemoration of Saint Elijah the Tishbite, who was a prophet of the Lord in the days of Ahab and Ahaziah, king of Israel, and with such force vindicated the rights of the one God against the infidelity of the people, as to prefigure not only John the Baptist, but Christ himself. He left no written prophecies, but his memory is faithfully preserved, especially on Mount Carmel. Commemoration of Blessed Joseph Barsabbas, and nicknamed the Righteous, disciple of the Lord, whom the apostles proposed together with St. Matthias, so that one of the two would take the place of the traitor Judas. And even though the lot fell on Matthias, he equally worked in the ministry of preaching and sanctification. At Antioch of Pisidia, in present-day Turkey, Saint Margaret, who is believed to have consecrated her body to Christ in virginity and martyrdom. In Ethiopia, Saint Frumentius, bishop, who was first a prisoner and then ordained bishop by Saint Athanasius, spread the gospel in this region. At Carthage, in present-day Tunisia, Saint Aurelius, bishop, who, as a solid column of the church, protected his faithful from pagan customs, and placed the episcopal seat on the place where the statue of the goddess of heaven was previously located. In the territory of Boulogne, in France, Saint Wilmar, priest, who, as a humble pastor, having had the opportunity to study and attain the priestly ministry, retired to a hermitage according to the customs of the ancient fathers, and then founded in Hautmont in France, among the woods of his homeland, 2 monasteries, one for men and the other for holy virgins. At Cordoba, in Andalusia, Spain, Saint Pablo, deacon and martyr, who, instructed by the example and word of Saint Sisinandus, was not afraid to reproach the vanity of their cult before the princes and authorities of the Moors, being killed for having confessed Christ as true God. At Hildesheim in Saxony in Germany, Blessed Bernardo, bishop, who, although blind, maintained his church in peace for 23 years. At Seoul in Korea, Saints Magdalena Yi Yong-hui, Teresia Yi Mei Im, Martha Kim Song Im, Lucia Kim, Rosa Kim, Anna Kim Changum, and Maria Won Kui Im, virgins, and Saint Johannes Baptista Yi Quang Nguyen, martyrs. At the city of Nam Dinh in Tonkin, now Vietnam, Saint Jose Maria Diaz San Giorgio, bishop of the Order of Preachers and martyr, sentenced to death for hatred of the faith during the persecution of Emperor Tuduk. At the village of Zhaozhehe, near the city of Yingjian in the province of Hebei in China, martyrdom of Saints Leon Ignace Mangin and Paul Den, priests of the Society of Jesus, who, in the persecution of the Boxers, while eagerly encouraging the faithful in church, were pierced in front of the altar from the enemies who had broken in. Saint Maria Zhu Wuxi perished with them, who, wanting to protect with her own body Saint Leon, the minister of her celebration, fell mortally wounded. In the territory of Lu Zhuang near Yingjiang, also in Hebei, Saint Petrus Yu Rixin, martyr, who in the same persecution, in front of the governor who pressed him, refused to deny God as creator of the world, and was beheaded for this. At the town of Dalucun, near Wuyi, in the same province, Saint Maria Fu Gulin, who, as teacher, also in the same persecution, was delivered into the hands of the enemies of the gospel, and beheaded while invoking Christ the Savior. At the village of Wukwai, Zhaojia, also in Hebei, commemoration of Saints Maria Zhao Guoshi and her daughters Rosa Zhao and Maria Zhao, who in that same persecution threw themselves into a well to avoid being raped, but were pulled out of there and suffered martyrdom. At the town of Dechao, also in Hebei, commemoration of Saint Ji Juzi, martyr, who, still being a catechumen when a riot broke out, declared himself a Christian, and, covered with wounds, was baptized in his own blood. At Madrid in Spain, Blesseds Rita Dolores del Corazon de Jesus Pujalte Sanchez, and Francisca del Corazon de Jesus Aldia Araujo, virgins of the Congregation of the Sisters of Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and martyrs, who, during the persecution that broke out of the Civil War, were arrested in the church of the college by enemies of the church, and shortly after shot in the street. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Ave Maria.